Welcome to another episode of Dave's Garage. Welcome back to the channel. Thank you for everybody who has tuned in and is watching. You'll notice the Escort boot has changed shape. It's no longer got that hideous bulge in it. It's now got a nice flat shape to it. Now the connoisseurs of you will notice that that's not an Escort boot. This is one I've fabricated from scratch using a bead roller and bits and bobs. There's a few ways I was thinking about doing this. One was making like a wooden MDF type template and hammering out a floor which would replicate more what was there. But I motorized my bead roller some time ago and I haven't really used it in anger since, so this was an opportunity to make the most of that. So there's nothing really too exciting about how this was done. It's just all piecemeal. It took a long time. It's been a while since I last videoed the Escort and posted a video because I've been on holiday as well, which was nice to get away. First time in 3 years, so that was lovely. But back to this, pretty much everything from 2 inches up from there, if you like, if you can see where I'm pointing, all the way around is fabricated from scratch. And some of it is in piecemeal, some of it, like the main floor, is sort of done in one piece. And I hope you enjoy the process involved in doing that. Goodbye that. Right, well, that has made a large hole where I should have a boot. You see the beauty of that plasma cutter. It really does make short work of that. It could have been done with a saw or grinding disc. There's a million ways of doing it, but this way's quicker and it's quieter. And also from this side. Now, thankfully, all of this just needs minor repairs. This is actually quite sturdy along here, and just surface rust around these edges. There's a bit on this corner which needs a bit of attention, which is of course on a compound shape, which helps things no end. But we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. And all around here again, it's all. This is a bit ropey around here. It's got 3 different levels here of repairs, so that'll have to be cut out and done something with. But I think we can do something with it. This has also had some serious weirdness going on. There's all sorts of weird repairs here. This old latch arrangement that was using a bonnet latch to latch the boot down. So I might have to be looking at replacing this all together, and there's still a possibility I might have to replace that rear panel, but we'll see. Hopefully we can repair that. But the chassis legs are good, so this is all good news. This exhaust hanger is all good, just looks a lot worse than it actually is. It's not actually that bad. If I can get in close, you can see that's just surface rust, nothing really much to worry about there, which is good news. Right, I think my plan of action is going to be repair these down to a flat surface, if that makes sense. So we'll copy this roll here all the way along to about sort of that level, all the way along there. So this will roll down to that. Same with this. Get this, try and copy what was here before, sort of down to that level. Same here, we've got a bit of a step in here, which I think is probably something to do with the exhaust clearances. So we'll copy that step in and keep bringing that down until the floor comes level. So what I'll end up with in the aperture is a flat surface for a floor pan to fit onto. I think that's going to be the simplest way of doing that. Right, now what I've done here, so I can know where the base of my floor is going to be, I've clamped a couple of bits of inch box section or inch offcuts either side of my level, and over here I can just about gauge that's where the original floor would have been, about an inch down from the bottom of that chassis section. So I can now use this as a gauge as I'm coming along to know where to bring the floor down to. I think I'll start with this piece here. So we're looking about 14 inches or so, just before we come to our bend here, because this has a shape in it there as well, so won't worry about that just yet. So what I'm going to simply do is cut a piece that will go in here and wrap round a couple of inches or so. So we're looking at a piece about 3 inches by 14 inches with a curve in it. Yeah, I need to rethink how they do this as well. Yes. Need to work a better way getting this full 90 up there, because this isn't working. Just put it on by hand perhaps. Need to make myself a proper tool like Fitzy's got for doing these. Right, so we've got a bit of steel now ready to go in, so we'll clamp that into place there. That follows the curve around there quite nicely. We'll get this one in place first. We know where this is where it's got to go. And this one, make sure we've got our consistent gap along there to along here, which if we clamp it into place there somewhere, that's going to be about right. So what we'll do then, if we can get a cut to in there, which we just about can, we will spot that in place and do cut it and drop it in as we go, so the cut and butt process. Right, that's that roughly tacked into place there. I really should have cleaned this up first, but I got a bit too ahead of myself. It's not the end of the world, because when we take the zip disc to cut into it, I'll clean it up as I go. But so what we'll do next is get a zip disc into this and cut that away, start welding into place. So what we can do, when we zip that out of there now, we can weld that flush, and then zip disc across there and weld that flush as well. So it's just a good way of keeping these in place and use them as a guide to cut them out. Bit easier. I sort of do both ways. So sometimes I lay it on top and scribe it out and cut it out. With a slightly larger panel, this is a much easier way of doing it. You do end up with quite a gap to weld in, but don't worry about welding. You can weld up to a 1mm gap, no problem. Zip discs are 1mm, and that helps with penetration if anything. Made a bit of a silly mistake here by fully welding this. I got ahead of myself and I might have trouble getting that piece there released from there. What I should have done is just tacked it, carried on going, tack, 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 and then taken it off. But I got a bit carried away there. So I carry on now with slitting this out, and then we'll come back to see if that'll come off now. Right, let's see if we can get the old bit from out the back here. It has come out. Happy days. There you go. Lovely. Right, so that's now where it needs to be. So we can now fully weld this along there. Right, that's it from this side. You see the weld has come through quite nicely. Really should have cleaned this up first. I've been a bit naughty there, but it's welded through okay. And again, you can see it's welded up quite tidy enough, so that'll grind up quite nicely there. If this was a more facing panel, I'd have been a lot more careful about the heat distortion, but it's a panel that's going to be out of sight and under carpet, so I'm not overly concerned about it. More concerned about putting strength into it than prettiness. So what we'll do now is work our way down that way, doing pretty much the same thing. Just stick the straight bits, and we can work out a curve here somehow as we go in. Right, that's that cleaned off on this side. At least I haven't cleaned off that side yet, but I'll come back to that. Interesting, you saw with using the wire brush attachment how it will pick up on the thin metal. So where that's gone thin there, it's almost pushed through, and that's actually pushed through there. So that's highlighted a repair that's needed there. So it's a good indicator of whether the metal's gone too thin with the corrosion. Around here, it's all nice and thick still. Next piece we'll make, it'll be this piece coming in and rolling down. So like this, but now down there. And would like to get a nice sort of a roll edge on this if I can, but we'll see how we get on with that. That's worked, but I need to rethink this. Make it crumbs. Yes, I definitely need to rethink this. Yeah, now clean back. You can see you've got nice transition there rather than a sharp edge. I'm quite pleased with that. So on to the next bit, whether I'm going to do this bit next or this bit. I think I'll go and have a cup of tea now I think about that. Righto, I've decided to go carry on with this side down here first before we worry about this bit over here. So we've worked way along to there so far. So now we're going to work our way down to here. It's a mess. This is quite flimsy, but I'm sure we can do something along the same ideas of what we've done there. Just put a curve on that, bring round sort of around there down. Hoping to keep that area and just repair that somehow so I can keep that nice curve around there. So basically down there is the plan. Right, so there's a piece cut out, ready to go. So what we're looking at is enough of a bend to cut out all that rubbish down there. So about there. Now we're looking at the centre of our crown is about there. And I can mark that down the middle. Then I'll show you my new toy I've temporarily made. So here we have it, a new addition. So very simply made, washer between two pipes, clamped together with a couple of more grips either side, and hopefully that's going to work as a pipe anvil. Let's see how we get on with this now. So I've got two options here, inch and just less than 2 inch. And as I get more pipe, I can clamp onto it, and eventually I might make some sort of frame to hold it in the vise. But we'll see how we get on with it. We just clamp together. My work, it may not. We line up a line there now, and hopefully just pull it around. Lovely, that's worked a treat. Very simple, happy days. That has worked very nicely indeed. So we can now get that basically stuck into there. So clamp that one onto there first. And work out where my levels are down there. What I think I'll do first is scribe this off loosely. And get a cleaner on that. Right, that'll be a bit nicer to weld too. Okay, that's there or thereabouts where it needs to go. So we'll start tacking this into place now, and then we'll start cutting it into place. Right, there we go. That's that bit tugged into there and looking about. So we'll crack on and grinding that off, and then we'll see what we can do with this little corner here. Righto, that's that all ground up. Just knock the tops off that. I'm not too worried about getting a pretty finish down there. As long as it's strong, that's the bit that matters. So quite happy with how that's coming so far. Stand back a bit, you'll get an idea of where we're going with this now. And from the boot side, you can see the boot floor starting to take shape as we're coming round. That'll give me a platform then to put some sort of actual boot floor onto. Okay, so the next bit to sort out is this little thin piece here. So Not quite sure what we're going to do with this. I might have a go at seeing if I can cut a corner out the old boot floor. This bit that we cut out previously, I'm wondering if one of these pieces here will do me. I can find there's a nice piece there, cut a piece of that out and see if I can use that, because it's got the double profile on it. It's worth a try. And the answer to the question, will that be any use for that, is probably not. Although it does curve that way slightly, it does have a crown on it that way as well as that way, it's not nearly enough for what we want there. Okay, another option is this, which is part of the remains of the old transmission tunnel that we cut out for the new one. And I think that is just perfect for there. So happy days. So I trim that down now to more suitable size and let that in just about there somewhere. Not a million miles off anyway. I need a little bit of tweaking. That's definitely worth a go. Might need a little bit of encouragement, but it's better than the other one was, and it's a reasonable thickness as well, which is important for my liking. A bit of a rock on it, but I reckon if we can get this piece welded in place over this side, we can work our way into that, I think, possibly, or even get this piece in first and drop that piece into there, even if it means slitting it. Yes, I think that's what I'll do. What I'm going to try and do is just tack him in and then bend him over, see how that goes. See if we can get the shape of it, and then even if it means cutting it off again and cutting it out, we'll play this a little bit by ear, I think. Well, that's gone under there quite nicely. The next question is, how am I going to be able to cut it out? Go straight across there with that one. Into there. Yes, yes. Well, I've got to say I'm quite pleased with how that's come out. That's got that double profile on there quite nicely. Yeah, all ground up. Quite happy with that. We're going to work our way down now to our next section, which is here. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to ignore this little piece here for now and work on this piece, which comes around here somewhere, because it's all steps forward, to avoid the exhaust blocks, I think, around there. And once I got this piece in place, I can then worry about what I'm going to do with that piece. Let's use my pipe anvil to put me bend on there, and need to be about there somewhere. Fan be here, I think, along the lines of clamping that under there and guiding it off that. Since we know that is fairly right. Yes, there we are. So what I've done is clamped a bit of box section to the piece of floor we've already done, and so it'll keep it level as we're going. That's the hope anyway. Right, scribe around that, clean that up, and we cut and butt that into there. Righto, chucked a bit of primer at that, just to keep the rust at bay as best I can as I'm coming backwards and forwards and working on this, because you've probably already gathered I'm only doing little bits at a time in between working and other responsibilities. So we're back at it again today now, so we're filling this gap here, which is going to be an interesting one because we've got the organise that bend from there to there, so interesting to see how we get around that now. I hopefully from this side you'll be able to see what I'm trying to get organised here. So by sort of pushing up on there, I think if I just simply scribe around what we got there, and then this hopefully will drop into place. I'll scribe that. I'm quite happy with that line there. Probably that one down there, but I think this one's going to get away from me, so I'll cut a bit more off there to make sure I'm not cutting. I'll cut a bit less off really, to leave me some meat to play with. So there we go, there we have the shape we're looking for. So I'll trim that out now and then try that in place. That bit in place. Now you may notice me double welding along here. That's because on this side I want to try and replicate that bit of a slope over there, so you'll be able to grind that now into quite a nice slope to copy that. Alright, there we go. That's transitioning quite nicely across there and there now. Just knocked the heads off the welds down here, not got too carried away with it. And now what I need to do before I go any further is have a good tidy up and spin the car around on the jig the other way around. I know from this side of the car it looks very different, and this bit here is going to be a lot easier to get to and sort out from this side now. So what I need to do here is split this down there somewhere and just bring this into there. too bad. That's come out quite acceptable, especially where you're going in the filling in there. That's ground back quite nicely, that is. So quite pleased with that. So across this bit here next to get this this tucking over into here. Right, I've finished this bit off along here and gone round the corner there a touch. Sort of make that out. Exactly the same way as I did that piece down there, so no real shakes about filming that. But the next thing I'm wondering is how am I going to connect this up at the back here, because at the back, if you can see there, it slants back a bit up to join the top of the panel there. So what I'm thinking is I've put a little test piece of metal, put a little roll in it, and something along the lines of that all the way down. So a panel like that all the way down there to connect up with this panel here. So that would be one piece going down there, and then we'll have an infill panel piece to go into there. And what I probably do with this flat end of this piece, let me just jam it in there to get an idea. Yeah, so that's kind of the idea, to be like that all the way along, and maybe I can manage some sort of a pressing effect in the centre of it, or a couple of them with the bead roller. So that's my next challenge, is make that piece, and then we'll worry about how we're going to roll it over and join up this corner afterwards. Right, got a piece cut out, the size we need. It's going to live there. So my plan now is to bead roll 3 dimples in this, and then put my curve in it there somewhere. So I'm going to mark that up now, and then get the bead roller. You can just see it in the background there, just there, look. It'll be the first time I've used it since I motorised it. It seems like an age ago now. Right, I've gone with 2. I marked out for 3 and it didn't look right. So this would be my 2, effectively what look like pressings, and then this would be my curve up. So let's have a go at getting that on the bead roller. Bit of scrap, always do a practice run before you commit. Let's see what we got. Let's go the other way. Right, that's a nice step in that. Let's go for it. So 1, 2, 3 to loosen it. Let's see what damage we can do then. One, 2, 3. One, 2, 3. Oh, I could have finished it better. But still getting the hang of this bead rolling malarkey, but it's not too bad. Surprising how much strength you put into that, because that side's all wobbly, and that now is considerably stiffer. Okay, happy days. Let's do the other one. See if I can line it up better. Well, I lined that one up a bit nicer. Went a bit wonky on that curve there, but it's done the job. You always get a little bit of flex in these when this happens because of the way you're stretching the metal out. But maybe when I put that curve in there, that might help take that out. Quite pleased with how that's come out. Right, hopefully I won't mess this up now by putting the curve in the wrong direction. I'm going to think about this. Right, we need this to curve that way. So if that's in there, like so, that should be right. Right, let me go get my template and see how far off we are. There's not a massive amount we want on it. Oh, there we are. As it happens, that's pretty good. That's about where we want it. That's basically what I was looking for. Something sort of like that. And from this side, you can see now where they'll fit, and as it happens they'll sit. We'll centralise that better. That'll sit quite nicely in between there, and that was just by pure fluke. I didn't actually plan that. That just happened. Right, let's see about how we can make that fit in place. What I might have to do is get my plasma cutter in there and cut out what is there and just make it again from scratch. Once we've got enough to play with, we'll be okay. Right, what I'm having to do here now, I'm going to have to scribe a line down all inside of there and see if I can get a plasma cutter in there to cut that out and then work from that. Right, after much fiddling and backwards and forwards and cutting and grinding and giving myself an ouchie, yeah, as you do, I've found a home for this. So I'll cut and butt it sort of into under there and there. I'm going to lap weld this side and the other side as well, so that'll be a nice strong fix in the back there, which will be mostly out of sight anyways. So I'll weld that in place now and see what it looks like. Right, that's that welded into place. Feel like we're getting somewhere now. The hole is getting smaller in the middle. So the next challenge now is to make something similar to this in there and in there to fill up those gaps, and fully lap welded this up in behind here. So that's nice and strong and is going to be grime proof as well, so road rot's not going to get up in behind there. So next challenge, fill in these holes. Much the same process as what I've done here. So I just put a curve on it and stick it in and see how we get on. Right, that's that section welded in. That was a bit more of a challenge than I first thought it was going to be, but it's in there now. So that's taken on quite a nice form around that. And the opposite is true of this one. I thought this was going to be more of a challenge down here, and actually it sort of hammer formed into shape to a fashion. I just had to put a square in there where the metal was a bit thin. So that side was quite easy, relatively speaking. Not so much. So you can see now there's a shape in the floor of sorts. And next challenge is to tidy that up with a nice clean edge and then make an infill panel for that. Isn't it remarkable how much stuff looks so much better once you've attacked it with a grinder and thrown a bit of paint at it? That's quite respectable there now. So that's a big leap forwards, that is. So it's just be a case of filling that tuttle in the middle now, or that gap in the middle. I've measured the gap I need for that and cut out a piece of metal and cleaned up with a bit of surface rust on it, so clean that up. So that's basically going to fit over that. So just going to use a bead roller now to get some shape into it. Right, here we go. This is the design I'm going for. So you can see that basically triangles with the edges rounded off to make a cross pattern, so that should give a bit of strength in the floor. So let's bang this in the bead roller now and see how it turns out. Alright, before you do any rolling, as best I can try to do, I try to do a dry run to see where I'm going to hit snags. And here we have a snag, so as I'm coming up this triangle here, it's just catching on the corner there. So I've got two choices: either bring this up more to a point, which is going to let it go through, or what I might do is just trim the corners off of these, off the edges here, and that's not the end of the world because I can cut them in anyway. So I think that's what I'll do, is just cut the corners off so that we can go around. There we go, so we have to go around on that one now. As it happens, two of these corners need to be cut back anyway to suit the shape of the floor. Right, there we go, that'll do. Right, try these ones now. I'll go down there, around there, yeah, I'll do that the same way. Right, okay, let's start on that one there then, I think. Oh, I messed that one up a little bit, like I did last time, struggling to get the getting the line up. Right. Oh, that one's better. Need less of a pig's ear with that one. It is incredible how much extra strength that puts in the panel. Okay, let's go for the difficult ones. I'm getting the hang of this, lining it up again. That's much better last time. That's superb, that is. Got a bit of a twink in it now because of the way the metal's been stretched, but once that's welded in place, that should pull that out. Lovely. Right, let's go see what it looks like in the car. Right, well, that's basically the idea. It's going to fit on there, so what I might do is get a couple of Tech screws now just to hold it in place there, down there, and then see what we can do about welding it into place. Right, so be nice if it's central. Put one in each corner first. I think it's just check to see how it looks, and then if it looks good, then happy days. So this is looking at it from inside the boot, so sort of like that you'd be looking at it, and you can see it does need to come down just a little bit there to even those gaps up. Yeah, that's looking better. And that's lining up nicely centrally along with those points as well. So that's where it needs to live. Let's see about getting it fitted into place then. Right, there we go, there's the offcuts. Pull it out from the other side. Right, that's all nice now and flush, ready to be butt welded all the way around. So that's going to take an age to do that. Again, it's not a facing panel, so I'm not overly concerned about distortion, and I think the shrinking is going to help me here to take a little bit of buckle out of it. But so far it's okay, there's no oil canning in it, so that's good. There we go, all fully welded in. And nice as well, nice and solid, there's no oil canning in it. That's brilliant, quite pleased with that. And from the boot side of things. Brilliant. You can see how much zinc is in this weld through primer. You can see how it's burning off white there. There we go. Super duper. Grind that off now and get some paint on it. Right, there we go. So it looks like that's what it looks like with some paint on it. And round the bottom side, all ground up and painted and looking lovely. The thing with Halford's primer, the last 2 tins I've had, they're clogging up the nozzles. Must be a bad batch. It's my first bad mark against that stuff. Normally I love it. Hi, thanks for watching. Another episode done. Quite a long one, this one, and quite a lot involved with doing this Escort boot 4. As you can see, it's all taken quite a nice shape and with a bit of paint on it. Looks lovely. So the next episode, I may be attacking these areas here. I've got some replacement panels for that and that bit there, and I got on order some new panels coming for down there as well. So that may be the next challenge, and we'll see how we get on with that. But thanks for watching, thanks for subscribing, and as always, please do subscribe if you don't already. Thanks again, see you on the next one.